right. As I said, I'm Marisa Madrigal. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and it is my honor to be your MC today. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to support our newly elected and re-elected officials here at Metro. It is just wonderful to be in space with you as we ring in the new year. Before we begin, I'd like to ask any current or former elected officials to please stand so that we can give you our full-hearted thank you for your service. Please stand. Thank you for that. I am sure it is no surprise for me to say that we have been through so much individually and collectively over the last 3 years, and now we are here in a moment of transition. We cannot and do not wish to go back to the way the world worked in 2019, and we have an opportunity to rethink and rebuild, not fresh, but with the knowledge we have earned over the last 3 years. We know better how to apply our values in the face of difficult decisions. Our crises have become more urgent and our priorities are clearer. We are resilient and we are strong. How fitting then to be swearing in elected officials at this moment. These officials have served their communities for years, and they stand before you today ready to dedicate 4 more years of service to this region and to Metro. They do so with the deep knowledge they have gained. They do so knowing it will be difficult, but they also know that our work is vital, and it is critical to lead this work with values first. When an organization has values-driven leadership, it is that much easier to do the great work that they have been asked to do. And Metro has been asked time and time again to help solve the most pressing issues Greater Portland is facing: affordable housing access and houselessness with 2 voter-approved measures, climate resilience in our work with waste, transportation, urban planning, and conservation, cultural vibrancy and economic prosperity at our visitor venues. We are united in trying to build a better, stronger, and more resilient economy and society, not just at Metro, but our entire country. Less than 3 months ago, President Biden spoke in this very room about some of the reforms he has supported to lower costs for families across the country. Metro has not only supported, but led the region in recent years in affordable housing and economic resilience. And our elected officials rise to those calls, leading our organization and the region in this critical work. I've had the pleasure to work with each of the officials being sworn in today and some of their predecessors. Knowing these individuals, their values, their intellect, their integrity, I am optimistic about the future of Metro and Greater Portland. Each of them is a public servant through and through, working passionately and diligently to improve the lives of people in this region today and into the future. I am thrilled to be here, observing their oaths of office with all of you and supporting their public service. And with that, it is my honor to introduce the Honorable Justice Adrienne Nelson, who is here to administer the oath of office as she has done for Metro in the past. Judge Nelson.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. So we have an order that we're going to do the oaths of office. So we're first going to have up Councilor Lewis. There we go. If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, and say your name.
I, Christine Lewis,
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of Metro Councilor
the duties of the office of Metro Counselor,
Sub-District 2,
Sub-District 2,
and that I will support the Constitution
and that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States,
and laws of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
and laws of the State of Oregon,
and laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Charter
and the Charter
and laws of Metro,
and laws of Metro,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll have a seat, and we're going to do all of the signing in order together. So next, we're going to have Juan Carlos Gonzalez, Councilor Gonzalez. All right, show them you're beautiful.
All right, yeah. Thank you.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I.
I.
Say your name.
Juan Carlos Gonzalez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Metro Counselor,
of Metro Counselor,
Sub-District 4,
Sub-District 4,
and that I will support the Constitution
and that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United
and
States,
the laws of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the State of
and
Oregon,
the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Charter
and the Charter
and laws of Metro,
and laws of Metro,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're next going to have Councilor Hung. Come on. Yay! Okay. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and say your name,
I, Duncan Huang,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
Metro Counselor,
Metro Counselor,
Sub-District 6,
Sub-District 6,
and that I will support
and that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Charter
and the Charter
and the laws of Metro,
and the laws of Metro,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're next going to have Councilor Simpson. All right. You ready? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Ashton Simpson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Metro Counselor,
of Metro Counselor,
Sub-District 1,
Sub-District 1,
and that I will support
and that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Charter
and the Charter
and the laws of Metro,
and the laws of Metro,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
All right. We're next going to have Auditor Evans come up. Yes, yeah, I saw. Yeah. You will? Okay. We're going to have you raise your right hand and say, I, and your name,
I, Brian Evans,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
that I faithfully will perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Metro Auditor,
of Metro Auditor,
and that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution,
and laws of the United States,
the laws of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution,
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Charter
and the Charter
and laws of Metro,
and laws of Metro,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, you are. And last but not least, we're going to have President Peterson come up. Have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Lynn Peterson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Metro Council President,
of Metro Council President,
and that I will support
and that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Charter
and and the Charter
and laws of Metro
and laws of Metro
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations. We're now going to have remarks by all that were sworn in, and then they're going to sign their oaths of office to make everything official. Then there will be a reception.
Congratulations to President Peterson, Auditor Evans, Councilors Lewis, Gonzalez, and Wong and Simpson. I would also like to thank Justice Nelson for taking the time to do this wonderful ceremony today. And we will now hear from our newly sworn-in councilors, beginning with Councilor Christine Lewis.
My favorite street sign is located on Southwest Nadeau Parkway at Clay in downtown Portland. No matter the mood I'm in, I always chuckle every time I see it. It's the one that has 2 arrows, Seattle straight ahead, Keller Auditorium to the left. The absurdity. Imagine the driver who comes on the intersection and sincerely wonders if they should continue ahead nearly 200 miles or make the turn for a landmark 2 blocks away. I want to use the Seattle Keller sign as a metaphor, perfectly describing Metro. We are at once the 40-year-old planning organization, plotting a path for sustainable growth decades into the future, our horizons far in the distance. And at the same time, we are taking form as something new, stepping up and playing a major role in meeting the needs of the housing and homelessness crisis, just as swiftly as the trip to the Keller from Nadeau to 3rd. So is it absurd trying to be both? An agency that works in planning on the horizon and in real time, meeting urgent needs? I would argue no. The balance makes us better in both roles. Our housing and homelessness crisis was decades in the making. Federal disinvestment in affordable housing, a broken mental and behavioral health system that was supposed to incentivize treatment in community but never got funded, rents rising at a clip far faster than minimum wage, social services doled out morsel by morsel to the lucky and not knit together as an integrated safety net for all. Not to obsess over the origins of the problem, but we must be cognizant of the deep-rooted structural failures as we enter the arena, armed with a 2020 mandate from voters and a new tax with revenue at scale to actually meet the need and make a difference. The 3 counties are hard at work, trying things they've never done before and doing more of what they know works. A system that meets the needs of our communities includes culturally specific services. It's a system that values the people providing the services through wages, opportunities for training and specialization, respite from the trauma they see every day. It's a system that no longer lets "it's difficult" mean no when it comes to integrating with health services and systems. It's a system that helps service providers prioritize the slow process of helping those with the most barriers and are the most challenging to find stability. After 1 year of implementation, we have found some success at helping people, but we are just starting to hit our stride and our groove in planning for investments that will make a long-term impact. Though homelessness looks different in every corner of our region, the difficult choices families make when contemplating sleeping in their car or unsafely doubling up are the same. We must continue to do more to prevent people from becoming homeless. Crisis interventions, short-term support, but also more jobs with housing wages and more front doors with keys that teachers, custodians, grocery workers, and working artists can afford. Joni Mitchell, she says, "You don't know what you've got till it's gone." For far too long, we've taken heed and put plans in place to make sure we don't pave paradise to put up a parking lot without spending time with those for whom this region isn't paradise. in particular those who face the structural barriers of racism and people whose intersecting identities make it hard to meet their basic needs. It's time we update, reshape, and refresh our 2040 plan. 2040 is the year that my youngest son, McCall, God willing, will graduate from high school. 2040 is no longer on the far horizon. It feels almost upon us, and we must push our sights further out as we plan how we will shape our built environment for the remainder of the century. Central to that planning must be wide and deep inclusion with those who are far too often left out of government. I certainly didn't plan to spend the better part of my first term in office dialing into meetings from my basement. While it has been incredibly efficient to go to back-to-back meetings at the Oregon Zoo, the Willamette Falls Locks, and then Metro Council work sessions, that wouldn't be possible if I had to get between those physical locations. Hopping across Zoom rooms is a sort of superpower. I hope my second term is different, even if that means slower. Meeting with people in real life at coffee shops, food cart pods, in parks, and in community centers across the region. As an elected official, my job representing the communities of District 2 is to talk with people in the district. Those who like Metro, those who hate Metro, those who don't know what Metro is, and those who don't have the time to care what Metro is. These conversations will inform my work as I advocate for the needs of my district and hold their priorities in balance with what is possible for the region. The concern I hear most frequently is that District 2 communities are uniquely burdened by the ODOT 205 tolling program. The diversionary activity makes our neighborhood streets unsafe, and the financial impact is simply a burden without appropriate alternatives. In order for our neighborhood streets to act as neighborhood streets, we need arterials to act as arterials and not be forced to absorb the spillover from a highway singled out for tolling without a system-wide approach. We have operated in uncertain and ever-changing conditions to meet the needs of people in our region over the past 4 years. Full credit to Metro's incredible staff, and to highlight just a few. First, the workers at Metro South who have worked through literal fire and ice. The teams at Borland Field Station and the Johnson Center who continued their critical work breeding and raising native plants and majestic condors. The workers at P5, Expo, and the Oregon Convention Center who faced incredible challenges during a period when it was unsafe to meet and gather. The HR professionals who processed unprecedented numbers of layoffs and then blessedly unprecedented numbers of recalls. The union stewards who worked with their coworkers and colleagues on new contracts and LOAs, too numerous to count, and a senior leadership team willing to work with a new council, and I think a brilliant new COO, at an agency under increased scrutiny, accountability, and transparency as we put 4 ballot measures to voters in 4 years. Finally, I want to thank the hundreds of Metro employees who show up to make their work community stronger through participation in employee resource groups, all agency town halls, and our community giving campaign. Our agency is strong. We're meeting our goals and promises to voters. We have clean audits and a AAA bond rating. Our affordable housing dashboard shows that we are going to far exceed the number of units promised to voters, despite limited private activity bonds and no movement on that issue from Congress. I was absolutely thrilled by the ribbon cuttings at Newell Creek Canyon and Chehalem Ridge Nature Parks and our bell ringing at the completion of the Oregon Zoo's 2008 bond projects. Thanks to voters renewing our parks bond and levy, I look forward to using those big scissors again. What each of us do to shift systems over the next few years will have enormous consequences for how our world continues to be changed by climate chaos. We must keep our sights on light rail to Vancouver, and we must complete the plans to add rapid bus as the backbone of our transit system. In the face of bus fare increases, I have a renewed commitment to a regional youth pass. We can plan complete communities where people work close to where they live, but we need to bring real resources to bear for brownfields and for hard to develop parcels already within our UGB. We need to consume fewer single-use goods, enact more extended producer responsibility schemes, and work to eliminate disposal as an externality. And we need policies that incentivize community co-creation, participatory budgeting, and other tools that bring forward investment in neighborhood-scale solutions. Thank you to the voters of District 2 for placing your trust in me for another 4 years. Thank you to the coalition of community advocates, workers, and community leaders who made my reelection possible. And thank you to the local, state, tribal, and federal elected officials with whom I get to work for your partnership and confidence. Finally, thank you to my family, my husband, Mike. Your unwavering support, encouragement, and love enable me to do this work. My parents, John and Betsy, you modeled community involvement and taught me to stand up for what I believe. To my sons, Carrick and McCall, you remind me every day that my most important job is to be a mother, and hopefully that makes me a better leader. I look forward to working with all of you to create a region where we can all find a place to call home, safely get around, go to a good job, and connect with nature, community, arts, and culture. While there is a tension between meeting the urgent needs of now and planning for this future, I'm proud of our council's leadership in steering an agency that can do both. Thank you.
Next up, we have Councillor Juan Carlos Gonzalez.
Hola, hola, buenas tardes. Good afternoon, how we doing? I'm feeling pretty good up here, not gonna lie. And I just wanna say a sincere thank you to everyone that made time to be a part of our ceremony, to hear some of our thoughts, our dreams for this region, and ultimately the role that we get to play in making this the best place that it can be. I'm really happy to be in East Portland, in this beautiful community center. And although it's quite far from my district, where I represent North and Northwest Washington County on the Metro Council, it's a reminder that every corner of our region is beautiful and has incredibly diverse communities. And quite frankly, that every corner of this region deserves investment and leadership. Before I get into my remarks, which I wanted to make a little non-traditional, I guess you could say, I want to thank my family, mi mamá y mi papá, Alicia y Francisco, who are in this corner, for just being incredible parents and support system. I want to thank my sister Bianca, who's here, my sister Natalia, my brother Jose, and my amazing wife Lorena. We just got married in July, so it's been good. A good year. It's a really good year. So I want to tell y'all a story, because I was really thinking about this opportunity to share some remarks and sharing the accomplishments of the last 4 years, or the vision that we're charting for the next 4. But I think that with this amazing array of leaders, we'll get a lot. But when I was a boy, growing up in Cornelius, I had the amazing privilege to have my dad be a small business owner. He's a landscaper. And there's so many lessons that I learned working with my dad as a landscaper in high school, in the summers in college, the summers of high school, you name it. From as early as I can remember, using a rake or a hoe, and looking forward to the days that you'd be able to use the heavy equipment, right? But there's one particular memory that he and I spoke about just a few days ago on New Year's. And I was about 13 or so. Memory's getting a little foggy now. And it was my brother, Jose, myself, and my dad, Francisco. We were working on this lot in Hillsboro. It was about 4 or 5 acres, and not too huge, not too small. But it was a gravel lot. There were some cinder blocks here and there, and you can kind of begin to see it, and some weeds that were like 6-7 feet high. It was just a lot that had just been sitting there forever and ever. And there's just so many metaphors, so many lessons that I can take away from that. But what I really took away from that memory is that we spent several days cleaning. Obviously, the owner had hired us. We were there working. We had a weed eater with not with the plastic stuff. It was like that, the metal film and all that. We had this heavy equipment machine that we would kind of just go back and forth. It took us 3 to 4 days. And we had to be careful. We had to work really hard. You know, the machines gobbled it up. Let's just say it was hard. A lot of sweat. And I have really bad allergies, so I was like sneezing all day and night. You know, but it's a part of it. It wasn't amazing when you were doing it, but when you look back, it's just amazing. But within a year or two of us doing that, you know, when you're a kid, you experience the world. You experience your built environment, the way that it is, the way that it's presented to you, the way that you inherit it. And when you're a kid, you don't always ask yourself those questions, right? Like, why is this way? Why is this that way? But I can say that within a year or two, that subdivision eventually became 40, 50 homes, duplexes, triplexes. I mean, you name it. And, you know, why do I want to share this story in particular? You know, in addition to the fact that there's a lot of funny memories and great memories that I have with my dad and my brother there's this thing about time and impact that I've just been thinking about. You know, when I was that age, and even now, when I think about what that piece of land is now versus what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago, 50, 500 years ago, you know, you really begin to see the world through a different lens. You know, when you're a kid, you don't think about the building permits, the zoning, you don't think about density requirements. Hopefully, you're not thinking about that, but if you are, you're a superstar. You just see what's there and what you hope to contribute. So when I think about this really formative memory in my life, there's a few things. It takes many hands to create. Not just to build the frames, to install the plumbing, but to clear the fields before, to dig. That you need to cherish every step of the process to deliver something. And most importantly, that what makes a place great is not just the great streets, the parks, the buildings, but the people that make memories at every single step of what makes a place. You know, when I started at Metro, that was really the slogan that was on the banners, making a great place, and we really own that. We have the plans, we have the vision, we have the bond measures, you name it. But it's the people that we're working for, it's the people that make a place, not just a location on a map, not just a gravel lot. And so we're here to serve people, and we, as Metro Council, have a really important role to play in that. I know I am one of an amazing group of leaders, an amazing body that I'm just so grateful to have the opportunity to serve. I know that we can address the problems that we have, and I know that we will. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.
Next up, we will hear from Councillor Duncan Wong.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just that there. All right. It's one of the burdens of being tall, I guess. Yeah, my name is Duncan Huang, and I'm the Metro Councilor for District 6. So thank you all for coming out to East Portland. This is actually in my district. It's just an honor to welcome you here. It means so much to have my community here. About a year ago, I was actually first sworn in on my doorstep, socially distant and masked. So this is certainly a different experience. And First, I really just got to acknowledge that I'm being sworn in to complete the term of the late Councilor Bob Stacy, who was a legend in this region. I just hope I can uphold his legacy and accomplish 1/10 that he did. So I just want to start with that. This is a day that's meaningful for so many reasons. First, I'm thrilled to be part of this new Metro Council. Everyone being sworn in today had to overcome so much, from racism to the patriarchy, immigration hurdles, to just growing up in hard times. We're going to bring a healthy dose of lived experience to policymaking. For my family and community, today is especially meaningful. Just a few generations ago, today would not have been possible. Actually, none of the things that give me joy and meaning in life would have been possible. This is baked into Oregon's Constitution. Since our founding here, Article 15, Section 8 of the Constitution said that no Chinaman can own property. I'm gonna make sure Carrie does some research on that, actually. We also couldn't vote. In 1882, Oregon banned interracial marriage. Chinese were also banned from attending public school or entering certain professions. Many of these laws were on our books until the 1960s. Back then, I couldn't have married my amazing wife, Lisa. Lisa, you want to wave? Thank you, Lisa. We couldn't have bought a home together. I couldn't have gone to school or been a lawyer, and I certainly couldn't have voted or been in office. So that is the history baked into our Constitution and our history, but these are the legacies that are seared into the minds of immigrants. Many have heard the story, but my parents immigrated here from Taiwan. My mom opened the first Chinese restaurant in Upper Michigan, where I grew up. And there's a Chinese restaurant in every small town in America. And in every restaurant like that, whether it's on 82nd Avenue or in Baker City, there's a kid like me doing homework in the back, making dumplings and bussing tables. Interactions with government were fraught with peril, but we worked hard and the food was good, which you all know is a huge priority for me. So there were institutional barriers to my path to elected leadership, but there were also internalized ones. My parents, they live in China now and couldn't be here today due to geopolitical and public health reasons. But they worked so hard and expected my sister and I to do the same. My mother would often say, "We're not from here. If you want to compete, you have to be twice as good as everyone else." Has anyone here ever heard that from their parents? Yes. In college, when I told my parents I was going to study politics, they tried to talk me out of it. Back then, they weren't citizens yet, so they said, "Why would you do that? We can't even vote for you." I understand these all come up from a place of love, but the cultural barriers that prevent many of us from stepping up into elected leadership are just like that. They're both internalized and they're institutionalized. Today, however, my parents are proud. They're currently living in China. Over the holidays, just a few weeks ago, my parents actually sent me a family tree. It's this 100 megabyte PDF document. It goes back 22 generations, over 1,000 years of Huang history. In our ancestral village in central China, there's actually a Huang family shrine with a family tree that's carved, and it goes back 1,000 years. And of course, it records your family and your occupation. So for the first time in 1,000 years, there's a Lisa Matson on a family tree. And I gotta say, there's a lot of proud extended family that know that one of their own is an elected official here in America. So this past year, people have often asked me, where are we headed? What is our vision for the future? Our better days ahead? And I want to talk about the American dream a bit. It's a beacon of hope for many people around the world. However, that dream is increasingly out of reach. No matter how hard we work now, that pathway to prosperity and success isn't as wide as it used to be. And that's why I ran for office. I want to make sure that every kid doing their homework in the back of a shop on 82nd Avenue has the same opportunities to choose their path in life as I did. So what's that going to take? Well, I'm going to be focused on a few priorities. First, we need to address housing affordability and the homelessness crisis. One of my proudest accomplishments was in the development of the Orchards of 82nd at 82nd and Division. We have 40 units of affordable housing in the community center. We need a lot more of these. We're also going to need to get creative. We're about 30 to 40,000 units of housing short in this region, and we're not going to make up for that building programmatic affordable housing. We're going to have to get innovative with land use, with zoning, and look into new models for building homes. We're also wrapping up the first year of the supportive housing measure. I've spent the past year visiting our providers on the ground, working directly with those experiencing homelessness. We need to invest in the people that are doing this work and to make sure that we have the data systems in place to track our progress. I will also continue to advocate for additional mental health and addiction services, as well as the infrastructure and support that our providers need to succeed. Once folks are in stable housing, Metro can also lead on getting community members back to work with a well-designed transportation system, but also creating pathways to good-paying jobs. I'm just so proud of our work on our Construction Careers Pathway program, thanks to Rahi and Sabrina. We're going to be needing 15,000 good-paying construction jobs in the coming years, and we need to be sure that that is an option for communities of color and other marginalized communities. So to wrap up, look around this room, breathe it in. It's an amazing group of leaders. There's first responders, there's caregivers, there's healers. This room is what Oregon is going to look like in the coming years, and I'm honored to be able to roll up my sleeves and get to work alongside all of you. And just before I close, I want to send a few more thank yous. I want to thank my family and Lisa for allowing me to spend all this time doing the work of Metro. I want to thank Terry Waller, my campaign manager. Thanks for all the work that you did. I want to thank Amy Powers, our co-executive director at Apano, for supporting me in this endeavor. And I want to thank Ann Buzzini, my policy advisor, for showing me the ropes at Metro. So thank you so much, and I'm ready to get to work. Thank you.
Okay, please help me welcome Councillor Ashton Simpson.
You talk about moving mountains. Boy, let me tell you, I've come a long way since Houston, Texas. But I want to thank everybody for coming in today. It's so good to see everyone. I got my campaign manager here, Shani, my dad, my mom, my cousin, good friends and family, the Oregon Walks family, right? But I'm excited to be taking this role at as Metro Councilor, District 1. This is a part of the region that is beautiful, it's diverse, it's young, but it's also growing. And I'm also proud to call this place my home. To serve others is in my DNA. You can blame that on my mom and my family back in Texas. My grandmother, Bertha, if it was not for that woman, y'all wouldn't have this Ashton. She served in the community through the church. My mother, she served as a president as a transportation union. My father, police officer, and I even had a few uncles actually that served from World War II all the way through to the Korean War, one of which served all three, with the Korean and the Vietnam War being on there. So for me, it wasn't very hard to take another oath of service, because when I first took my first oath, it was to be in the United States Air Force and to go and defend and support this country. The value of serving others was so much a part of my upbringing that today I'm now passing that legacy on to this guy right here, my son, AJ. When I moved to East County in 2018, I wouldn't have imagined standing here in front of you. But my work in the community led me here over the past few years. I had the opportunity to observe this community through the lens of a nonprofit employee and then as a nonprofit executive director. And in these roles with this context, I've observed and had some hard nights with the challenges that our communities and our community members face. From historical lack of investments in communities of color to inequitable development, to the lack of workforce development, and the list can go on and on and on and on. The trouble I have with it, though, is it feels the same. It feels like my home back in Houston and my community I grew up in. It's a different state, different city, but the outcomes for poor folk and communities of color are virtually the same. And to top it all of that, COVID compounded those issues, and you could feel the pressure day in and day out as we served our community through food boxes or making sure folks were taken care of or their bills were covered. But where I see challenges, I see hope and I see opportunity. As I look around this room, I see leaders from government and the community. That gives me hope. I ran for Metro because I believe that Metro can be the glue that binds all of those hopes and opportunities together. Metro is, at its core, a connector. My hope is that as your District 1 counselor, I can help connect problems to opportunities, connect people making a difference with people who need a difference, and connect hope to an outcome. All of us have a duty to the people we serve to work together to improve their quality of life. And I'm committed to working with each and every one of you here to address those issues. Our communities are depending on us. We must understand that in this line of work, things only move at the speed of trust. That means we must include the entire community, from our labor unions, to our businesses, to our CBOs, to that store worker who works swing shifts, who can't make our meetings all the time. It's going to take a real private-public partnership to really lift up this region. To the rest of the council, we got our work cut out for us. Y'all know this already. But as James Baldwin said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. And I'm excited to make this region better with you and the walk and the road ahead together. Thank you.
We will now hear from our auditor, Brian Evans.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's really a privilege to be here today. The voters in this region have trusted me with another 4 years as the Metro Auditor, and I really do not take that for granted. I'm honored to be among so many dedicated public servants and people that work to improve this part of the region and this state. Several of those leaders are here today, and many more are elsewhere doing their part from wherever they're working to make this a great place. Before I go any further, I want to send a bunch of thanks to my friends and family who supported me in this career and through elected leadership. I didn't really ever expect myself to be in an elected role, but I know that I couldn't do it without them, specifically my wife Jill and my son Lachlan. They keep me grounded and balanced. Special thanks to the employees in the auditor's office, some of whom are here today. They show up every day to meet our mission of transparent and accountable government, and none of our successes would be possible without their hard work and dedication. I also want to thank Metro employees. They provide subject matter expertise, share their personal experiences, and are open to feedback. I know that being audited is not easy. But I appreciate Metro's culture of learning growth to move the agency forward. Finally, I'd like to thank the audit community in this part of the region and also across the nation for their new ideas and support to keep our work relevant and credible. It's been really rewarding to see auditors put out reports, sometimes critical, sometimes needing to speak truth to power, but I think it's really important. It's also been really fulfilling to see 2 alumni from my office take on leadership positions in this past year. Simone Reddy will be sworn in as the City Auditor of Portland on Thursday. And a former colleague of ours, Nicole Pexton, has become the Chief Audit Executive of the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. I will miss working with them, but I'm excited to see where they take those offices and their leadership of those critical positions. As I was preparing my remarks today, I was reflecting on my previous swearing-ins in these times of year, every 4 years. At the first swearing in, I talked a little bit about what my motivation was for taking on this role. And in the second, I talked about the challenges and opportunities that the position provides to ask hard questions and sometimes have to tell uncomfortable truths. Today, I want to revisit those topics so that you can learn a little bit more about me and to see what my vision for the role of an elected performance auditor is. I moved to Oregon to attend college. After graduating, I served as an AmeriCorps member, which is sometimes known as the Domestic Peace Corps. During my year as an AmeriCorps member, I made less per hour than I had made when I was working in a restaurant when I was 15 years old. That level of income made me eligible for various public assistance programs. And when I started to learn more about what that assistance actually meant, I was pretty surprised what the reality was. For instance, I called several buildings that were known to have affordable housing programs, and I learned that each had their own wait list. And those wait lists were measured in years. And so I quickly learned that that was not an option, and nor was I in a position to take up one of those spots because I had so many opportunities beyond those programs. It really made me wonder, or made me realize how little I knew about the way that public services are delivered. During that year, I worked with low-income populations who were saving to buy a home or start a small business, and my work with them helped me understand what it took to navigate your way through various assistance programs, to meet different criteria, to apply to the right position, to get the right person's attention. It helped me see the inherent tension that it takes to be responsive to people's needs in the real world, but also the challenge of being accountable for funds that are scarce and people need. Those experiences were invaluable, and I really learned from them. 4 years after my AmeriCorps experience, the elected auditors of Portland and Multnomah County released an audit of housing programs. This is in the 90s. It was done nearly 15 years before the start of the Joint Office of Homeless Services. To my knowledge, it was the only joint audit ever conducted in this region. 2 elected auditors coming together to share resources to issue a single report. Sharing is not easy, as we all know, and among elected officials, maybe even more so. And if you've ever seen behind the scenes of how we put together audit reports and how we choose our language, you would know that just agreeing on how to summarize a conclusion can take a long time, even for people who agree. So it was no small effort to get that joint audit report out. The report was titled Housing: Clarify Priorities, Consolidate Efforts, and Add Accountability. Unfortunately, from my perspective, many of those findings, the headings and the recommendations that that report contained are still relevant today. I'm bringing it up not to show that something went wrong, but to help us see our current challenges in a broader context over a longer time horizon. The challenges aren't new, and they won't go away overnight. Some parts of the region have a long history of providing these services and working through these challenges, and other parts of the region are just getting started or are starting to change the way they deliver services to be more responsive to new or expanded needs for the communities that they serve. The growing pains are real, and I see it every day, and I'm sure you do as well. But I'm hopeful that we can have better outcomes than we've had in the past. And I'm certainly impressed by the voters of this region for putting their trust in Metro to disrupt the status quo. And I think it's really important that we be clear about what are those causes. Why do we see the same outcomes over generations, or at least over decades? And can we be more clear about what we're trying to achieve with those funds so that we can learn the lessons that we might have learned in the past? I began my auditing career in 2008, and I've really never looked back in terms of being interested in something else. Auditing is all about learning and analysis. I love that I got to do a deep dive on a new topic every 12 to 18 months. Auditors get to talk with experts in the fields that they study. They get to go on site and see what the work actually looks like. It's continuous learning, structured in a way to be very rigorous and methodical. At the end, we have to make recommendations that are credible to the folks that are actually involved with doing those programs or are receiving those benefits. So we have to show our work. In our current world, it's too easy to share opinions and share them widely. Auditors take the time and do the work so that our recommendations and our reports are based on fact and reality. Throughout my nearly 15 years as an auditor, I've had the chance to learn about almost every aspect of Metro's programs and services. I'm still enjoying the work day to day. It's great to have people, it's great to inspire, it's great to train. It's also great to use data and analysis to try to answer complex questions. So I try to stay grounded in the actual day-to-day work so that I know what my audit teams are working through. In the last 4 years, the Auditor's Office has done work on 3 different voter-approved funding measures. These audits provide an early check-in on the alignment between the promises made and the actual outcomes delivered. We've issued reports about the Portland Center for the Performing Arts, Metro's financial condition, and solid waste services. We've also completed audits that focus on internal operations like information technology, ethics, human resources, and diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Looking forward, I'm excited to see what the next 4 years has to bring. I'm looking forward to listening from the community, from those in this room, and anybody who's interested in making this a better place. I will continue to focus our audit resources on assessing outcomes for voter-approved measures and looking for ways to help the agency be efficient, effective, and equitable in the hybrid work environment. Performance auditing is about helping organizations learn and grow, and there seems to be no shortage of opportunities these days to apply those values. Again, I want to thank the voters of this region for trusting me for another 4 years, and it's time to get back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Auditor Evans. And last but certainly not least, please help me welcome Council President Lynn Peterson.
Good afternoon. How you doing? Thank you for being here with us today. I just want to say thank you to all the distinguished colleagues that are here, leaders of industry that are here, advocates for a better quality of life for all, my husband, my mom, and all of you. Thank you for being here today. I will keep this short and say my goal for the next 4 years is to have them be much, much, much better than the last 4 years. Thank you. You're not getting off that easily. We've been through a lot together, and let me just say, we owe our COO, Marisa Madrigal, a huge round of applause. She was hired 2 weeks before COVID hit. We didn't know when we hired Marisa that we would actually be getting her brother, who became one of the leading experts on what was happening with COVID because the administration didn't know. He's a journalist. And so we had advanced information, which made us an even better partner region-wide. So we got an entire package. We didn't just get Marisa, we got the whole family. So we got a lot for our money, and I just appreciate everything that you've done. I also want to recognize that we had 2 counselors come on board in the middle of COVID and took their oath, as Counselor Huang did, on the steps of Metro Plaza 2 years ago, and how hard it is to create a team, as you all know, in COVID. And I just want to thank you for your patience and understanding, and so glad to be working with you in person now, both Counselor Nolan and Counselor Rosenthal. So we have been through a lot together. Sometimes it's comforting to look back on the trials of the last 4 years and reflect on the fact that we didn't just make it through together, but we actually made it a lot better for a lot more people during a very rough time. Through working with our partners to complete construction of 500 new apartments that will be affordable for decades to come, through working with our partners and getting 1,600 more units through permitting and into construction, through working with our partners, there are a lot of partners here, in helping 2,100 people into supportive housing so far. Yeah, that's a round of applause. For everybody who's been working in the field making that happen. Through protecting nearly 1,000 acres of newly acquired natural areas and opening up 1,500 acres of nature parks to the public. Through picking up more than 1,158 tons of trash from nearly 6,000 sites, almost the weight of the USS Blueback submarine docked in the Willamette at OMSI. That should be a round of applause for the Ridge Patrol. Through the renovation of the historic Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall with modern acoustic, electrical, and mechanical systems to prepare it for another century of service. Through the passage of not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 ballot measures that will help Oregonians prepare for the future, benefiting all residents of this region. And through the completion of a $125 million renovation of the Oregon Zoo, supporting species conservation for the elephants, polar bears, rhinos, and many, many more. But that is not where I want to spend my time with you today. Yeah, we got a lot done, but there's so much more to do. You know, as I was listening to the counselors, I was reminded of what my mentor, Judy Hammerstead, former mayor of Lake Oswego, taught me how to be a leader in elected office, especially how she ran the meetings. And the one thing that she always said as the mayor, as the leader of a council, of a commission, is you speak last. And what you just saw is why I speak last. Because I learn so much more if I just shut my mouth and listen and be able to articulate the values that you see sitting behind me in a way that can move things forward. That's my role, that's my job. And to be able to have this kind of conversation is so meaningful and so powerful, and I hope you take it in today and see that we are a stronger Metro because we have more voices at the table with more perspectives, but we all want the same thing. And so when you hear my remarks, they're the same as everybody sitting behind me, but we each bring that unique perspective to the table to be able to make it stronger. And I think that that's probably the most important thing going forward for this region, for this state. And I'm just so proud to be part of this council. And I just want to take that moment and just acknowledge the stories that were shared with you today, because they are so important. So we need to continue what we do best at Metro, and that's building for tomorrow together. We are faced with a lot of anxiety in the public at this moment. People are anxious about whether there is a plan, a North Star, Councillor Huang, that articulates the needs of all the people of our region and the actions it will take to meet those needs. We have to do better, and we will do better. Part of that is refocusing our mission, a refocusing that ensures we're meeting the needs of the 21st century. building for tomorrow. Everyone in this room remembers when this region was a national model, when our economy was booming. New homes were being built at breakneck speed, and we joked that the official City of Portland bird wasn't the blue heron anymore, it was the crane. We had the best economy for small businesses in the country. It wasn't a generation ago, that was 5 years ago. We created a 50-year plan and have spent 30 years working to achieve it. However, we won't solve the current problems by developing a new 50-year plan just yet. We need to look into the future in the short term because we have been thrown too many curveballs lately and realized how many people we need to incorporate into building a new plan for the future. We must set some realistic 5-year goals to build a new model of success. And in many ways, this is the work we're already doing. Think of our Construction Careers Pathway program. By ensuring that people have equitable access to job training, we are providing stability and career opportunities for Oregonians and certainty for the construction industry. But we're also establishing the foundation for intergenerational wealth and family stability that will be passed down from Oregon family through the decades to come. We can be guided by a 50-year plan to create livable communities, but have 5-year goals to actually improve that livability and address the needs of the moment. And the need of the moment is to specifically articulate how the metro region can provide affordable housing for all, family wage jobs for all, and an increased resiliency of our communities with climate change. Many of us here know the most basic needs are shelter and safety. And right now, too many Oregonians find themselves without access to housing at a time when the gap between the need for housing and the rate of construction continues to grow. A recent study by Eco Northwest says our region needs to build about 14,500 new homes per year to keep up with our population growth. In recent years, we were averaging about 13,000 new homes a year. It's no wonder that we see people priced out of the market, forced to choose between moving away or living on the streets. We have to do better, and we will do better. This means we must start thinking about what shared prosperity means when it comes to how Metro shows up as a partner with business. It's easy to point to our region's unemployment rate, a historically low 3.7%, and say everything is fine. But we know everything is not fine. As we look around, we see businesses around the region are struggling, emblematic of struggles across our entire economy. We need industry clusters that provide anchors for the rest of our small and medium businesses to succeed. And we know who those anchors are. They're the semiconductor industry, which employs more than 30,000 people statewide. They're the sports and apparel industry, which combines for 51,000 jobs in the state. And there are green economy jobs supporting businesses looking for new and innovative ways to address climate change, reduce pollution, and fix our broken global recycling system. As I look around the room, I see a lot of Metro staff here. Would you guys like to stand, Metro staff, for a round of applause? I see them clapping at each other. That's teamwork. I want to thank you all. Today and every day going forward, I also want to ask you to think about how your work can help restore our regional economy, support entrepreneurs, and bring shared prosperity back to our region. These are the job creators, not government. And it is our shared mission and partnership that will grow this economy into the future. How we individually make a choice to get to yes with our private industry partners will determine if we can, and you know I had to say it, get shit done. So this is what I commit to for the next 4 years, to work with our industry partners and cities and counties to determine what it takes to build enough new homes for every person who lives here and wants to live here so that no one is forced to the streets. To continue our hard work to meet the goals of the regional 10-year plan to address homelessness in Greater Portland, to restore our business economy so that Oregonians don't just have a job but have a place to work that they can grow with and be a part of, to attract industry to Oregon that lives the Oregon values, such as the sports apparel industry or the chips manufacturing opportunities, to look for more opportunities to partner with our waste industry in supporting businesses that are innovating new solutions for growing and fixing the recycling system, reducing pollution, and helping our planet. To build an equitable economy with a shared prosperity model where everyone has an opportunity to grow, flourish, and be empowered in our community. That includes conversations between Metro and all people and businesses in this region to ensure that all have directly heard from us and have been able to provide feedback or engage in other ways, creating a broad coalition for our work for the future, a united region that says there is a place at the table for everyone. To initiate new investments and programs that put our region on the map as a place the nation will look to again with admiration and awe for all we've accomplished with regards to climate change and resiliency. And to finish what we started, a commitment to a safe, affordable transportation system for all people and businesses. We need to move to construction on the I-5 bridge, the I-205 bridge, Rose Quarter, and then move forward with how to support the movement of people in the region, within the region, and not just through the region. And we will take our lessons learned and keep moving forward on our corridor work with projects such as 82nd Avenue and TV Highway. Working together, we will do better. We can start to rebuild our foundation and bring us back to the bright, the creative, the whimsical, and healthy region we remember. But it starts with a fundamental, the challenge of making sure that every single person has a place to call home. I ask you to commit to building for tomorrow together. Thank you.
Okay, we did it. Thank you. Let's have one more big rumbling round of applause for our council. Thank you for that. We would love to invite you down the hall for some snacks and mingling. This is the end of our program, so please do join us down the hall. Counselors, we still need you to sign your oaths of office and take a photo. So no snacks yet for you. Oaths first. And then we will see you all over there. Thank you so much for being here, for taking time out of your day. It has been my honor to be your MC today. Thank you.